Joan de Villa is frustrated but at peace. The unusual meeting and impromptu luncheon with an immortal goddess is not out of the ordinary in a day and age when man and alien kind are bridging the gap between the divine and the mortal world effortlessly. It's business as usual in Joan's world. Through sacred technologies, powerful seals, and ancient tomes of valuable lost religions, much is being discovered about the divinity of the universe. Humankind is now infused with exotically powerful alien-created technologies and knowledge, illuminating the existences of many ancient gods, toothless, and god forms, as humankind begins to understand their own divinity. Many of these immortal beings are called upon every day for their vast knowledge of all aspects in creation by millions in the Federation. Some even becoming heads of states in some countries or districts in the modern-day 31st century. These god forms, their spirit bodies consistent of prayers and chants, devotions, and other psychic energies, are often intelligent beings of immense power and capabilities. Many of these spiritual creations have vast amounts of universal energies, allowing the god form more freedom and wisdom to assist the specific followers. In today's age, these powerful beings can now take physical form, their creations and audacities made solid and physical by many of spiritual-based texts. Once these powerful spiritual beings were only a part of the ether of the universe, unable to bridge the gap between their vast worlds of spirit and thought, these strange beings now walk free amongst humans. Intelligent, energetic beings that move freely in the spirit world, now never taking physical form unless riding a human's body. Now in the present day, these godlike energies not only have physical bodies, but immortal appetites to match. Humankind is now meeting the gods that they once devoted eons of energy to. Vast amounts of psychic thought and expectation, whole generations of venerated praise. The world is now finally face to face with its own divine protagonist, with unexpected results. Sometimes what walks forth into physicality is not at all what humankind expected. There are celestial antagonists as well. These beings are made powerful from wars, blood spilled in their names, murders and rapes done in their honor. They are often creatures of the most deranged nightmares, though some are very beautiful, their evil natures radiating from their physical bodies like the dark ilk that formed them. A good example of this cosmic transition, spiritual to physical, is a psychic energy god well known in the ancient Rome and Greece, now remade into mortal skin. This divine physical immortal is Zeus. Known for his great male beauty and insatiable sexual prowess, the god in physical form meets up to his tawdry divine reputation in spades. Second is his son, Apollo, said to be even more beautiful than his father. He too exists in physical form as well. Apollo is also known as a studious and fine teacher in the 15th district with many followers, many of them women or gay men. Man students or visiting professors have said that Apollo, in his spirit form, must have also derived much of his energy from the sun. Students and esoteric members that have been in his presence say that the god's physical skin always seems to shine with a preternatural luminescence, as if tiny stars are twinkling within the dermis, shining outwards as if the god is covered by some type of strange, moving golden glitter. Like his infamous ancient father, Apollo has a powerful sexual appetite as well, both male and female bodies on the menu, of course. The few men and women that have benefited the illuminated god say it was like a warm ray of pleasurable sunlight inside their bodies, only 1,000 times more intense. Joan giggles as she thinks of the strange comments she has heard. Young people and their preoccupations with sex and love. Oh my God, who needs it? She says to herself abruptly, finding clothing and tidying up her already immaculate flat. Joan heard of one rumor that was so lascivious, it's still told, though no one knows if it's true. It is about this young teacher and her night of lovemaking with the young ancient god Apollo. The rumor states that she made love with the god, a full night of nocturnal bliss and sex. The woman also related that the orgasm was so intense she felt her physical body literally shift from Earth's dimension to the next, then another, then back again as Apollo masterfully orchestrated her physicality into divine, sweet ecstasy. Joan has met Apollo herself, almost fallen under his sexual spell as well. He don't impress me much, she says with an impish grin, folding her silky panties. That brilliant starlight skin of his is just a ploy. Child, my inner thighs ain't for having by anybody, not even a god, the assistant says to herself. Joan suddenly feels a familiar presence in her frontal lobe. Fishy must be awake, her toy terrier. Fishy, don't worry, hon. Joan is going to make you a nice bowl of chopped steak and vegetables, she says, looking toward her bedroom. Oh, hon, don't worry about it, Joan hears in her head. I already ordered. I'll manifest it later once I'm ready to eat. Small portions, of course. Have to keep this girlish figure, the tiny dog yaps. What you doing? The small dog emotes as she jumps to the couch in front of Joan. I'm thinking, Joan says as she folds more panties and bras. About you? About, well, you know. What happened today? Joan says. She really doesn't want to get into what the meeting was about. Come on, hon. What happened at the meeting? I really, really want to know. The teddy dog inquires, excitedly running around in small circles. Oh, Lord, fishy love. I'd rather not talk about it, Joan sighs. Why? Fishy asks, with that innocence that is sweet. Well, because it has to do with Jonathan, Joan comments. I like him. Is he coming over? He always brings the nicest gifts for me and you. Fishy comments, excitedly as her tiny tail wags. Joan sighs with a huff as she starts to fold teas. I hope not. Why? The dog continues. Joan looks at the cute tiny dog with a knowing smirk. Fishy has been a part of Joan's life since she was a teen. Like David's Bruce, Fishy is actually much older than Joan, 67 years to be exact. Dogs live extraordinarily long lives in this time period. Some say it's because of sacred texts that are utilized all around them. Always groomed to a sleek coat of chocolate brown with tan highlights, the tiny high-maintenance dog does not appear in public without her most treasured possession, a pink diamond bow, stunning 35 carats of pure luxury. The shiny trinket is always placed tastefully up on her head, pinned by a tuft of highlighted brown and tan fur. Fishy is a Southern belle in every sense of the word, one of the wealthiest of animal delegates, though Joan refuses to live off her dog's shrewdly gained wealth. The tiny dog also adores pink. She loves the color. She's crazy about it. She also loves fine dining and hates anything messy. Always on the go, the pint-sized glamour, small size, always on the go. Always on the go. The dog's small size allows her to travel in the modern world without getting noticed much. But she can get hurt very easily because of her size. Because of this concern, Fishy just commissioned a floating globe animal transporter just for travel about 4 months ago, all in pink, of course. Now, when the refined pooch visits all her favorite places while Joan is in the office, she is safe, encased in a shatterproof, comfy, floating oasis of the most delicate hue of light bubblegum. To the light of Joan and David, Fishy loves being with Bruce. They often have play dates, many times disappearing for days in and around the 31st century districts. This drives the delicate guardians up the wall, since each animal rarely checks in. When the two are together, their camaraderie is often comedic, comical, and ironic. Bruce is dry and sarcastic, of course. Fishy is ladylike and witty. Both adore gossiping, daringly to a serious fault, knowing all the hot talk long before their human wars. Did you tell Briskins that I will see him in 3 days? The small dog radiates telepathically. There's this new animal delicate exhibit in District 1. He really should go. Fishy yaps. No, my love. I didn't relate this to Bruce about one of your many outings. You have a hollow, do it yourself, Joan says, irritated with the question already. Fishy knows Joan very well, nuzzling close to the assistant's ankle, and she understands immediately. Look, sweetie pie, Fishy knows that may hurt you. I'll help you find another one, preferably with a cute terrier, like myself, of course. No thank you, Joan smiles softly, looking over at the dog. Look, all jokes aside, Johnny Boo, you need a stiff spoon that pudding of yours, the dog emotes. Standing on her hind legs, expressing her point, Fishy is about to give Joan a sense of her business. Bruce and I are concerned that you become a dried up old spinster, but you better use it before it drops, and nobody will want it then. Joan stops folding, completely shocked. Before she can even start her tirade, Fishy jumps down off the furniture, walking to the bedroom for another beauty nap. And I don't want to hear that mouth of yours. You know it's true, Fishy yaps from the other room. Right as Joan opens her mouth to preach why she should not be fodder for gossip, she decides to stay silent. Oh, Lord have mercy. Pick and choose, pick and choose, pick and choose, she says under her breath as her mind folds back into silent. That folds back into itself. Silent. Fishy has dozed off very quickly. Joan stops folding as her eyes grow moist. Fishy, her beloved, was telling the truth. A tear falls on a pile of folded yoga pants, a watery symbol of neglect and pain not dealt with. Roughly wiping her eyes, Joni thinks back to a few blind dates that David has set her up on. They were all great guys. Her BFF has excellent taste in men. Something simply didn't click with any of them. Another tear falls to folded panties, another symbol of angst and loneliness. Joan feels a sudden rage in her shoulders as her face creases into what she feels. The assistant quickly derides the tears. She just wipes them away, as if they don't matter. No time for damn crying, she relates to herself, picking up more panties, seeing a pair that sends a chill through her heart, lifting up a sexy lacy pair that Jonathan bought her. Seeing the lingerie, Joan's resound is even stronger, disliking her ex even more in the moment. With a force that surprises even her, Joan rips the panties into shreds, throwing the torn scraps of fabric on the floor next to her. Oh, David needs me more than ever. The Academy needs me. Fishy needs me. I ain't got time for no damn man. If love wants me, she know where to find me. Sex would be nice, though. Joan gently relates to herself, wiping the last of her tears. And a nice dinner. Sweet conversation. A movie and dancing. The twin shower jets in our bodies. Yeah, I could dig it, Joan whispers with a sexy smile to herself, so that Fishy won't hear her plan. Suddenly, Joan feels different. Fishy's right. Some good, stiff loving is exactly what she needs, and she doesn't have to marry the guy. Ooh, maybe Mars, the Greek god. He's always been after my panties. We'll go to slide him off, Joan giggles to herself. I've always wanted to make the love with one of them old damn Greek gods. I bet it would be delicious, the assistant thinks. Joan rationalizes how she could orchestrate a meeting with the Greek god of war. He is always well booked in advance for speaking engagements. Joan considers how she could pop up, sure that the God-forming human physicality would drop everything just to be with her. The legendary Olympian is smitten with Joan and always has been and always will be. It was last year at the annual Spring Solstice Festival, usually held in honor of the gods now in physical form, as well as brand new gods walking into the realm of physicality. This allows the vastly powerful beings a taste of their old ways, as well as a time to meet and greet many that had learned about them through ancient literature and mythology. A true meet and greet of the most monumental importance. Joan was speaker at last year's event. She wore a stunning yellow charmeuse gown, draped elegantly like the high ladies of ancient Rome. Underneath her grand wrap of fabric was an empire waist dress of layered chiffon. She felt herself as she felt like she was a goddess for that day, and many approved. The day was glorious as the future esoteric director went about official business, meeting many of the physical gods in person, as well as their demigod children. Joan remembers Zeus, his body in a Roman hitched up tunic of ivory and gold, and an elaborately draped toga created from the finest and royal purple silk, draped over his huge, powerful shoulders. Joan smiles as she recounts that the ancient god literally wore nothing under his tunic, the fine fabric barely covering his massive thighs and, well, bewilderingly large, uncut manhood. Mars was there as well, though he was much more of a gentleman. Curiously, the Greek god of war had nothing on underneath his red linen tunic as well. Joan remembers seeing him. Mars's eyes melted right into her. The warlord of blood was wearing a fancy Roman armor in the deepest red of rose gold, appearing like copper, just like his statues of antiquity. He had a powerful built physical form, shoulders like boulders, arms like huge Roman columns, and legs and thighs like tree trunks. The Greek god of war touched Joan's heart that night. During that meeting, he was astonishingly coy around her, as if even innocent and shy. Joan remembers that Mars' hands were so large, 3 of hers could fit into 1 of his. She also remembers that the young god tried in vain to have his father follow protocol to be proper, all to no avail. Joan laughs as she remakes her cryo-changing sheets, fluffing cushions, and drifting back to that day. A few officials tried in vain to get tipsy Zeus to at least cover his waist with the luxurious swath of purple and gold toga, since it had long come undone the drunker he got. Zeus was having none of it, nearly naked for all to see. The god just let himself be, absolutely comfortable that one of the most beautiful specimens of manhood, pierced with a golden Prince Albert, peeked from under his royal tunic. Joan remembers being thankful that the Greek king of the gods decided to wear anything at all, since ancient Greek and Roman men were infamous for their physical pride, often conducting sporting events in the buff. Zeus was surely a product of his people's psychic energy as well as their ancient attitudes about the body and nudity. Joan remembers approaching the god during the festival to place the golden wreath of liberation upon the deity's head. As she approached the sex-swathed god, who was then slouched on a golden throne, Zeus, in all his white, long-haired glory, caught sight of Joan's voluptuous body, and this is when the Greek immortal did the unthinkable. In front of over 1,000 very important guests, the god parted his powerful thighs as his sky-blue eyes looked up at Joan with a desire that still makes her swoon to this very moment. Everyone, hundreds of officials, teachers, students, and well-wishers were able to see a healthy golden-laden erection meant as an invite for Joan. The esoteric assistant remembers Mars looking at his father with the fury written all over his handsome olive face, a look that caused Zeus actually to close his legs, not wanting to offend his powerful offspring any further. Joan laughs hysterically as pillows fall from her hands, remembering the reaction of a few in the crowd. No children were present. The events are considered too mature for young prying eyes and are attended by invitation only. Only the highest and most magically skilled in the academy are invited. That didn't keep a few of the ladies from actually fainting. Joan recollects placing the golden crown on Zeus's white, luxurious brow as he looked up at her with the most dazzling eyes that seemed to sparkle like the most iridescent aquamarine gems. Joan remembers getting instantly sexually aroused as her own brow began to dampen with anxiety and sexual curiosity. She remembers needing a stiff drink, walking fast to the nearest bar to take in the stiffest cocktail to cool her nerves and suddenly heated a libido. This was Joan's first major event as an esoteric scholar. All eyes were on her that night, and depending on how she conducted herself, a promotion was sure to follow. Joan remembers David telling her that he had to pull a lot of strings and fluff a lot of egos just so that she could even place that golden laurel on a god form's brow. A true honor, indeed. She also suspects that Mars had a lot to do with her being on the platform with his father, hearing rumors that the young audacious god had already claimed Joan as his earthly wife-to-be. As Joan exchanges bouquets on the front living room table, remembering that she did the same for Zeus's sons, Apollo and Hermes, both whom she had met late that night in one of the most beautiful gardens dedicated to their mother Hera, Queen of Olympia. Both gods in physical form were sex-laden, of course, and each brazen in their charms and slight sensual touches, though not as provocative as their father, thankfully. Fluffing pillows, the assistant remembers Apollo being charming and beautiful. Hermes was the same. Both were respectful, of course, thankfully, probably because of their brother Mars. Joan remembers instinctively that each reeked of sex and bravado, barely wearing anything but gold hobnailed sandals, finely woven linen, and silk-draped tunics and palladiums, much like their father. The assistant also remembers meeting many female goddesses that night, each more regal and beautiful than the next. Unlike their sexually boorish male counterparts, the goddesses were purely refined, feminine, and poised. One goddess stood out to Joan mysteriously. She was mysterious and beautiful, with a mystery that still haunts Joan even to this very moment, as she arranges old books and tomes and research papers in her study. The goddess was Oshun, called Oxum by her ancient Brazilian followers. Her skin was the most exquisite caramel, adorned with a yellow floor-length gown that was emblazoned with hundreds and thousands of yellow diamonds and citrine stones. Joan did understand why the goddess was at the event, since she rarely makes public appearances, leading even more to her mysterious beauty. And that is until a modern-day oracle explained why. Atop the immaculate African goddess's head was an immaculate braided updo with gold and intricate crown of yellow gold, and from her brow hung hundreds of tiny yellow diamonds across her face, draped like a bejeweled curtain, keeping her true beauty from all that looked upon her. It is a fact that no one has ever seen Oshun's face, which is always hidden. No one but Shango, her eternal lover. Joan was placing the crown on the African goddess's head, goddesses with a bow, as Oshun did the same to her, both not saying a single word. The minute Joan placed the crown of golden laurel leaves, she felt as if wisdom flowed through her arms and well into her heart. Joan is now under the study of Oshun, visiting once a month to learn age-old rituals, the cosmology of the sacred feminine, as well as the secrets of attraction and divine wisdom from ancient Africa, the center of all human life. Later in the evening, Joan remembers watching the goddess from afar, as many others did as well. Everyone watched respectfully as Oshun reunited with Shango himself in one of the beautiful gardens created in her honor. The African god was a true vision of ebony male perfection. Shango is a god that was one of the first to be crowned hundreds of years ago, one of the first powerful god forms to walk the earth and fit a physical body. That night he was there only to congratulate his Oshun. Everyone watched with bated breath and cocktails as the ancient god wrapped his powerful arms around his eternal lover, and both subtly transforming into a fluttering swarm of shimmering, beautiful yellow butterflies. The officials then knew the powerful duo were pleased with the occasion as well as the honor. Joan remembers looking back at the gorgeously magnificent Queen Hera, seeing one single tear flow down her beautiful cheek, right as her son Apollo dried it with a kiss. Joan instantly knew why the Queen Goddess cried, and she understood it incredibly well. The lesson is profound, immortal or mortal. Every woman desires to be adored and adored alone. Old world gods and goddesses are commonplace in this advanced world, existing in real life. But Omaya's appearance has made Joan weary, and she does not know why. Joan stops cleaning to think. It's something about the goddess, a being with so much unknown knowledge and power, yet she seems so down to earth, like a best friend. But for some reasons, Omaya's relatability makes Joan uneasy. The future esoteric director shakes her head. Oh my God, snap out of it, Joan. She's supposed to be relatable. She is everybody's mama. Hell, she's the mother of all creation, Joan says to herself as she continues to work. I appreciate her kind words about Jonathan, Joan thinks. The assistant then considers the goddess's haughty attitude to her when mentioning Jonathan, a heartbreak that nearly grounded Joan's attempts at becoming an esoteric representative instead of an executive assistant to her current position. Though David gives her many responsibilities, trusting her judgment completely, Joan still needs a degree in order to be recognized by the Academy. David, how is he her child, though? I know that's what she said at the meeting. She told David that he's her spirit child. Joan says to herself, finally taking a rest, pleased at the neatness of her humble high-rise studio flat. She raises her right arm, tapping, pulling up her hollow. But she stops. She has left several messages. Maybe David has taken the much-needed vacation that she has advised countless of times in the past. Well, in that case, I have fun, my love, she thinks to herself, sensing her well wishes to her mentor and best friend. Suddenly, Joan's attention is drawn to her personal holograph panel, alerting her of a visitor in the front form of her building downstairs. Joan looks to the security panel. She sees a familiar face. It is Jonathan Jordan. Joan is shocked. Huh? Is the only word that she can utter in complete shock. She doesn't pick up. Probably has another girl in the same building. Typical. Maybe even eyed her while he was with me, Joan says to herself, brushing off the butterflies that are flooding around her senses. Buzz. The electric door buzzer is now ringing. Okay, he has to stop. Whoever she is, she does not live here, Joan thinks to herself. She hears the buzz again. She hears it a second time. Joan looks at the door buzzer, not moving. She hears a loud buzz over and over. Maybe he's here to see me. But why? He doesn't have anything here, she thinks to herself. Joan's personal hollow vibrates. The hollow screen automatically pops up with a beaming Jonathan, smiling sweetly in the greenish frame. Can I please come up? Hell no, Joan yells, motioning her hollow close, rising to start fixing dinner manually. She has a taste for home cooking tonight, and not for any male's company. Joan's personal hollow vibrates again as she looks at her wrist. The implant is a bright green shining under her skin. "You'll get the damn head eventually," she says under her breath as she opens up cabinets, reaching for spaghetti sauce and pasta. The door buzzer buzzes again and again and again. Her door buzzer rings out, interrupting her hard-won sanity and peace from this man that nearly left her in shambles. Joan motions to her hollow, frustrated at this man's audacity. "What in all Hades do you want, asshole? What can I do for you, Jonathan? Unless you're sick, maimed, or missing a limb, there should be no reason for you to be calling me. Do you understand? No reason at all," Joan says in a raging huff. The young man continues to smile sweetly, beaming in an innocence Joan has never seen before. "Hold up both of your arms," Joan barks. She can see both of the man's arms as he waves them in the screen, his hollow on one. "Let me see your legs," Joan continues, barking orders more aggressively. Jonathan shows her both legs through the hollow, translucent screen. "Looks good from here. Kiss my ass," Joan snarls, closing her hollow in a huff. The nerve. She continues as she walks back to her stove. Buzz, buzz. The voice monitor is activated as Joan hears a pleading Jonathan through the advanced digital system. "Joan, please speak to me. I know I was wrong. There was no excuse how I treated you. Please forgive me. Give me just 5 minutes to gaze upon that pretty face of yours, baby. Just 5, and I'll be out of your life forever," the voice says from the automatic door. Joan moves to the small flat like a dervish, anger racing across her mind, fortitude within her heart. She pushes the digital button to speak back to the voice. "You have exactly 10 seconds to state your claim or be gone." 10? Joan replies, not moving. "Joan, please see me. I love you. I understand." 9. Joan cuts him off harshly. Look, hold on. "I realize I did not handle myself and our relationship in the beginning." 8. Joan cuts him off again, moving away from the door. 7. Joan thinks. "Joan, my best friend had died. What was I supposed to do? I'm a man, not a god like the ones you meet and study. I'm only a human being, a man." Joan stands still. Jonathan was right. He was not a god or immortal, and he deserves a chance. "Sly dog, playing with my sensibilities," she thinks to herself, "using my studies as an argument. Child, please, typical Jonathan." Joan buzzes Jonathan in, allowing the levitating device to float back to its rest beside the automatic door. Joan suddenly panics. Her heart instantly starts to race as she runs around anxiously in her small, cozy flat. She stops only to anxiously check herself in the mirror by her front door, feeling as if her heart would beat out of her chest. Suddenly, Joan stops in her tracks, defying even her own emotions. How dare this bastard just show up at my home unannounced, and for what reason? Joan thinks to herself, feeling her heartbeat slow and her anger and annoyance grow. Last time I saw this idiot, he was having some intimacy issues and a problem with keeping his zipper closed longer than 5 minutes around anything with a gash and a warm mouth. Joan thinks as she continues to study her reflection. Get control of yourself, girl. Come on, girl. I'll allow him no room to hurt you, baby. Joan says to herself, watching her soft, loving eyes become steely and hard, feeling her fortitude grow as her back strengthens. All right, he's going to get a good piece of my mind, and I have a huge piece to give him. Maybe he may be lucky if he even leaves my present with all his teeth. Joan thinks as she waves with her right hand. The front automatic door of her dwelling dematerializes in thin air as Joan walks down the corridor confidently, ready to pounce on this man. This is the same man that broke her heart into millions of pieces without a care in the world. She heads to the adjacent hallway, past a pleasant-looking 19th century wallpaper and wall hangings. The building is posh, made for discriminating taste. Arriving in front of the lift, as she feels a small gust of air through the elevator doors, Joan ponders exactly what she will do. Jonathan will be there in seconds. Joan's heart is racing again. Through all of her strength and gumption, the woman is still hurt, and her body betrays this. Why is Jonathan here? Joan thinks through her anxious, hungry heart. There was no possessions left in that flat that belonged to her from her former love. There is nothing there. There's no conversation that need be had, Joan thinks to herself. The lift stops at her floor with a subtle whoosh as a digital elevator scales 120 floors in 3 minutes, coming to a complete stop. The door dematerializes, and in walks Jonathan Jordan. The beautiful young man is tall, 6'2" in proud stature, and he's of mahogany skin, high cheekbones, and supple full lips. Jonathan walks to Joan in his usual grace as he sweeps her up into his arms instantly, and too fast for her protest or to refuse his lips' loving embrace. Joan's breath is taken away at Jonathan's quick betrayal of her personal space. The man is swift and powerful, almost making her fearful. Joan tries to free herself from Jonathan's powerful grip, but it is useless. He has her imprisoned in his embrace, and he intends to do exactly what he pleases. I want you. I'm so serious. The ebony heart whispers, and there is nothing you can do about it. Jonathan moans, surprised at his own voice. Oh, really? Joan says as she releases herself from him with a swift kick to his shins. The handsome man backs up as Joan's fists connect brutally to his left jaw. That's for making me cry, you bastard, she says with a voice that is serene as a still ocean before the tempest, her right hook instantly collecting with Jonathan's right jaw. The man is stunned. Jonathan's brutal force surprises even him. It's too much. Joan's brutal force surprises even him. It's too much. That's for all the damn therapy, Joan hisses as she connects with Jonathan's face, feeling it buckle under her powerful fist. She instantly feels a subtle, quick snap. That's for the lonely nights, Joan relates as rage fills her heart, fulfilling her being in this very moment. Her left hook connects, once again, crashing into bone and teeth effortlessly, her powerful fist feeling a sickening crack and quick and subtle. That's for abandoning Fishy, you asshole, she says as her voice raises, tears pouring from her face now, her fist in pain, throbbing with each contact she has to make her point. That's for thinking you can come here and have your goddamn way with me. Joan screams as her right hook crashes into Jonathan's right temple. This time her fist feels his head bound back against her bald sense of power. Hard bone instantly feeling like sponge, then instantly hard again. Jonathan's head jerking back with such a force, it takes the rest of his body with it. The man is on the hard floor. Now get your sorry ass out of my sight. Now! Joan yells. As neighbors open their sweet doors, only to materialize them just as fast. Nobody wants to be a part of Joan's fury. Out of breath, Joan walks back to her suite. Her fists are twice their normal size, and so is her heart. She's overjoyed, proud, and completed. The man crumpled on the floor behind her is no longer a lost memory of pain, and it is over for good. As the proud woman walks forward, she hears a weak cry. Joan is heard behind her, barely. Joan balls her swelling fist up, feeling their pain. It's a good pain. More may follow. She looks back with a sense of regained dignity, watching as the once elegant, beautiful man rises to one knee, still stunned and in great pain. Jonathan looks up as Joan's heart is horrified instantly. His left eye has swollen. The right is sure to do the same. The nose, once proud and beautiful, now swayed to the right side, broken as blood drifts from it to the carpeted floor. Joan's heart now swells with pity. What have I done? She says in her mind, regret now forming shards of sickening dissolution. She continues to watch Jonathan slowly rise to his feet, the face she once loved now swollen and disfigured. The proud man finally stands erect, his body riddled with pain, almost too much to bear, but he doesn't care. The man is in love. Come on, lady. That's all you got for me? Come on, Jonathan mumbles through swelling, throbbing lips. You can beat me all you want, but I'm going to stand still here until you let me speak my piece, Jonathan says defiantly as he tries to see Joan, his eyes now painfully swollen. The man suddenly spits out a molar onto the hall carpet, and they both hear it hit the floor with the slightest of tiny thuds. You really want the best of me, don't you, Jonathan? You fucking cad. You sorry excuse for spit and cum. You cheated on me with my own half-sister, Joan says with a growing rage that has winded itself back into her core, steadying her voice. Joan walks back toward Jonathan, ready for more. Her anger and fury has swept itself into a hurricane that seeks to maim and destroy, and Jonathan is the target. Great is she ready to swing on the last time. Go on and beat me, Jonathan struggles to say as blood shoots from his mouth onto the carpet floor. Yeah, I'm a fucking pig. I know it. I know that. I destroyed the only family you had. Beat me till you ain't got no more, Joan, but understand this. I loved you best, Jonathan says with a painful lisp, his mouth flowing even more with his own blood, tears streaming down his swollen eyes. Love me? Joan says, her anger subsiding as she gets closer to the beaten man. You had sex with the only part of my family that I actually fucking like. Then had us at each other's throats for over 6 months, Joan continues. It's not love, Jonathan. That's a goddamn death wish, the woman issues as she watches her ex's reaction. Damn, Johnny, why you make me beat you? I told you if you ever showed up in front of me, I'd pummel you. Damn, Joan says as she grabs the bruised man by his soft, large hands that would have defended himself from Joan very, very easily, hands that could have hurt the woman, but love kept him from it. Come back to my place. You're in serious need of first aid, Joan relates as she pulls Jonathan back to her flat. Back in the flat, Joan takes the beaten lover to the washroom. The first aid transmutation tech, short for FAT, F-A-T-T, is always located there in fabricated homes like hers. Joan sits Jonathan down on a stainless steel bench as she looks at his face as the plain lights, completely horrified. To the gods. Those Tonity reward classes really paid off, she says with a slight smile. Jonathan tries to laugh but winces. Damn, baby, you nearly messed me up. Hell, you did mess me up. I don't even want to see what I look like now, he says with a grotesque swollen smile. Trust me, you don't want to. The fat will heal you right up, Joan says, hoping as care and love somehow finds its way back into her heart. Joe stands between Jonathan's huge thighs, placing the emotion on his swollen face. The healing emotion would allow the laser lights to get under the skin of the man's face, instantly healing cuts, bruises, and tears within minutes. The mystical tech was created by the Hutani, a subterranean race of water-breathing human hybrids. Cuts and bruises heal slowly underwater and are painful in the salt water. The terrestrial beings created the techs to instantly heal their people, allowing a quicker turnaround for travel. Jonathan looks up into Joan's eyes, feeling more love in his large hands find their way to her plush round bottom. Joan smiles as she places on the clear liquid over Jonathan's swelling cuts. Don't get lumped up again, nigga. Jonathan looks up into Joan's eyes, feeling even more love as his large hands find their way to her plush round bottom. Joan smiles as she places the clear liquid over Jonathan's swellings and cuts. Don't get lumped up again. She teases gently. She feels his hot breath flow to her face. You mean more of this? Jonathan tries to whisper as he whistles through a smile. Well, you did grab me in those powerful arms of yours. You could have had your way with me. I try to, Jonathan replies softly as Joan applies more of the soothing, clear liquid. In a world that claims there's no violence, I don't think they know about you, Joan. He continues with a smile. I wasn't being violent. I was protecting my virtue from a man twice my size, Joan says with a gentle grin. The clear emotion is already healing Jonathan's face. Joan watching in slight amazement as her ex-lover's face slowly retains its natural shape. Joan, if you remember correctly, I have already been deep inside your virtue already, the healing Jonathan says with a husky voice. His hands squeezing Joan's plump bottom forcefully, making her gasp. Joan doesn't respond as she politely pushes his hand away. Though Jonathan is an excellent lover, actually the best Joan has ever had, now is not the time. There, now get under the lasers, please, sir, and keep your hands off me. You'll be right as rain in a few minutes, Joan relates as she turns Jonathan in front of the device. Motioning up her hollow, typing in body ratio information for Jonathan. They both watch as the device, located above her bathroom vanity, actually activates. 8 chrome arms move quickly towards Jonathan. Each arm is equipped with a bright beam at the end, aimed at a certain aspect of the man's face. As a white light grid forms around Jonathan's skull, hundreds of little squares lit brilliantly. The man's whole head is now glowing, as if being broken up into the smallest squares of light. The human's brown skin is now illuminated from within as divine light shines through bone and tooth enamel. Gently, Jonathan's head is turned into what looks like a brilliant 3D X-ray, light shining all around and through his head, exposing pumping blood vessels, moving eyeballs that are under closed skin lids. Joan watches in awe as torn tissue is healed almost instantly. She smiles, watching a dark space in Jonathan's back mouth illuminate even more, now replaced with a new tooth. Soon Jonathan's swollen face returns back to its normal, handsome, dashing self. The laser lights turn off as Joan stands back, watching and admiring, needing. Jonathan rises from the stool. His plan is in phase 2 to get his woman back after very bad behavior. Suddenly Fishy comes bounding out of the bedroom, jumping into Jonathan's arms. Johnny! The tiny dog emotes, licking the human's newly healed skin. Well, at least somebody's glad to see me. Jonathan grins as the tiny dog squirms in his arms, climbing onto his shoulders, looking over to Joan. Those classes, Joan, Fishy says to Joan, now perched high on Jonathan's shoulders. They paid off, didn't they? The tiny dog yaps to Jonathan's surprise. But hold up, he says as Fishy jumps from his shoulders to Joan's couch. That ass kicking was your idea, Fishy? He asks, shocked completely, feeling slightly ganged up on as he backs toward the door. Well, not really, the small dog telepathically emotes, yapping away. The martial art classes were my idea. Then we were going to track you down and kill you in some dimension where murders were legal, of course. The small dog radiates sweetly. But, of course, my ward, my beautiful Joan, said that it was a little too much. Well, damn. Oh my God, well, damn. Wow, is all that Johnny can say, kind of nervous. No hard feelings, darling, huh? Fishy asks, as sweet as gentle as the Southern Belle she is. I don't think so, Jonathan says, very nervous. Should I just leave? The man asks as he heads to the door. Jonathan, you just got your ass handed to you in 2 portions. How about the rest of our plan? Fishy yaps from the couch, pawing her a fluffy ear. Jonathan is shocked for the 3rd time, his head looking to the carpeted floor of Joan's flat. So, you know about that too, he says in a low tone. Johnny Baby Cakes. You're a man. You're about as predictable as a bad case of smelly farts after a cheap bean burrito, darling. The dog emotes yapping to Joan. Now, my sweetums, since Joan has fucked you up royally, then healed your cheating ass, how about you break her off some of that old hickory pole? Fishy says, as she stands on her hind legs with a combination of yaps and snarls. Fishy, now that is none of... Joan starts right as the dog telepathically cuts her off. Joan, hush. This man has so much money. God comes to him for loans. He's fine as fuck and has a dick that could fuck the spots off a leopard. Fishy telepathically radiates to both Joan and Jonathan as they both shake their heads, completely shocked. You're going to fuck him tonight, and that is final. Do I make myself clear, love? Fishy says as she heads over to the far right hall of Joan's apartment, where the small dog has a built-in shrine of purple and fabulosity to herself. Jonathan and Joan watch, both still shocked at Fishy's language, watching as the small dog hops onto her bubblegum pink teleporter, slowly levitating about 4 feet above the floor. Now, darlings, I have an official business in District 22, as well as a new home that I'm building for us. Of course, baby Joan. Of course I did. I built a new home. The small dog yaps to Joan as the teleporter floats to the front door. Now listen, I'll be gone for a few days, or maybe more. The small dog yaps as she looks to Jonathan, automatically dematerializing Joan's front door. Y'all kids be good. Oh, and Jonathan, you break Joan's heart again? The terrier yaps as the small, light pink teleporter stops in front of the open door. I swear on all of my pink diamonds, I'ma find you. Then I'ma hurt you. Then I'ma stick your rotten corpse someplace where even God won't know about it. You see, I'm a rich bitch. Money pulls strings. The tiny dog emanates, slowly floating out of the door. Y'all kids have fun now. You hear? Joan and Jonathan both hear as Fishy floats down the hall, taking a lift to her waiting driver downstairs. Both are left looking at each other. Joan has to admit she's slightly embarrassed at Fishy's threats, looking at Jonathan, who is clearly uncomfortable. Joan finally breaks the uncomfortable silence. It really hurt her so much when you left. It really did. She laments as sweet as she can. And, then we both, she found out you cheated on me with my sister. She had to go to therapy. A lot. Yeah, I can imagine. Jonathan says, still nervous and wide-eyed. Was she really gonna have me killed? He asks, very nervous. Well, yeah, she was. Joan answers reluctantly. But I talked her out of it. I really, really did. Fortunately, of course. Yeah, fortunately, for me, Jonathan says, looking over at Joan, then at a countertop where assorted cutlery is displayed. Is she okay now? He asks slowly to an embarrassed Joan. Well, outside of the occasional red rum chants I hear coming from her, as well as a huge death shrine she had created, for you. Yep, she's right as rain. She sure is. Joan hates to admit. I have to say this. It's like living in the crazy world with Gone with the Wind and The Shining have combined, Joan admits. Fishy hates me, doesn't she? Jonathan says carefully. Okay, how can I put this in a way that... Yeah, like cheap costume jewelry. Joan admits with a slight smile. Still very sorry. Look, I'm making spaghetti. You can stay if you like. She watches as Jonathan's head rides low on his shoulders, saddened at all the pain he's caused. Maybe I should be going. Oh, nonsense, Johnny boy. Joni says as she moves quickly, striding past to a small bar, taking out her favorite spirits. She watches as Jonathan's eyes light up. She brings up a bottle of a rare brand. Wow. Julio Julian 23, the rarest brandy in all this galaxy. I was sure you had thrown it away. Jonathan smiles. No, I was mad at you, not stupid. You paid more life credits than I will ever see in 3 years for this bottle. You were gonna auction it off, weren't you? Jonathan says with a grin. Like a Hitler self-portrait. Couldn't get enough bigger offer. So I kept it. Joan says as she moves to the cabinet, pulling out a glass brandy shifter. Would you like some? Yes, please, Jonathan answers meekly, not sure if he deserves such kindness. The brandy is poured slowly, enjoyed as Joan prepares a wholesome dish of spaghetti with meat sauce along with garlic bread on the side. The two ex-lovers talk and eat and apologize, as well as catch up concerning their lives in the last year. Joan learns that Jonathan is not the same man that broke her heart. He seems different, kinder, more loving, even with the words he chooses. The old Jonathan was a decent enough guy, slightly arrogant, self-centered, and flaky, though always charming. The man in front of Joan tonight he's none of those things. When she speaks about her life, the old Jonathan would have tried to change the subject or spin it around to involve business, or his clients, or his many travels. Tonight, the man in front of Joan is simply quiet. He just listens. Joan even notices that Jonathan's body language is different. The old Jonathan was a folded arms kind of type, not really trusting. Tonight, the man in front of Joan, he's open, his hands are on his lap, his head is even cocked slightly to the side, taking in all she has to say, nodding, smiling. This man eating in front of her, flashing his dashing smile and wise words, and this was the Jonathan Joan has always wanted. After eating and a glass of wine and a little bit of brandy, the two clean up together, something the old Jonathan would have never done. Side by side, washing dishes in the old-fashioned way, their hands occasionally finding each other's under the soapy water. Joan finds herself falling and strong-like for the man next to her, a much better version of what he was before. You have an awesome love hug, my crazy lady, Jonathan jokes as Joan giggles. Nah, your jaw's just made of glass, that's all. Can I ask you something? Jonathan asks, his voice lowering. Sure, Johnny, Joan says, wondering. Can you forgive me? The hunk asks as Joan looks into the soapy bubble water. Its bubbles a true metaphor of her heart, delicate and iridescent with small, many hues and layers of feelings and emotions. I forgave you a long time ago. I had to. I wanted to move on, Joan says lightly, trying her best not to become emotional. Gently, as the soapy water ripples around her wrist, two familiar hands find hers, holding them dearly and gently. If I could go back in time. Wait, let me rephrase that. Jonathan gently laughs, realizing that Joan is an esoteric employee and student, and time travel is very doable. Would you want me to go back in time and make different decisions for us? Joan knows the answer immediately. No. I like who you are now, she says with a smile that makes Jonathan happy inside. The evening stretches on into a smooth transition from loss to newfound friendship, both laughing and talking, listening to each other, as if what was said was the most important words in creation, heart songs created from open thoughts and general dialogue. It is getting late and the alcohol is making Joan very relaxed. Over time, Jonathan keeps looking at his hollow time display, noticing that the hours have slowly crept past. They crept past the both of them. Well, I have to get up in the morning, and I'm sure David and that damn Bruce will be bellyaching as usual. How is David, by the way? Jonathan asks, something he's never did in the past. He's fine. He's training me to take his place when he moves on in a few months, Joan says, smiling softly. Ah, so he's moving to the big office, huh? Jonathan asks. Yeah, I'll miss him a lot, Joan says. Finally, silence comes between the two. A pregnant silence that is filled with unspoken expectations and needs each dare not bring forth out of respect for each other. Joan watches Jonathan's every motion, needing him to stay and make his most wonderful night complete. Jonathan needs Joan to ask, not wanting to be pummeled like before. To be honest, not really caring if he was. Joan rises for the door politely, a small smile on her face, a large glare of regret already spreading across her heart. As she turns to wish Jonathan a good night, Joan watches his movements. The Adonis walks toward her. Jonathan's steps are pensive. As he walks towards Joan, he's ready to take a chance, and his mind is not his own suddenly. All of a sudden, he feels this glow in his heart. It's as if something's taken over. As if watching his body walk and talk, not really fully controlled. Joan looks into Jonathan's deep brown eyes as he grows near, eyes that are kind and full of emotion. But he's not all there. Something is within them, something she does not understand. Jonathan's eyes have always betrayed him. They always express what he chooses not to say. This time was not. This was the same, yet very different. Joan tries to look away, but feels compelled to look back. She sees something else she has never seen before, a hint of animalism. It is all very exciting. Do not refuse me, Jonathan says deeply, feeling the words vibrate from a place well within his heart. We've known each other before. Let us know each other again, he says as Joan notices that even his words have changed. Joan hears Jonathan's voice. It is soothing, masculine, deep, but his words are not his words. His voice is almost monotone. Something is very different. The seemingly possessed man takes a hold of Joan. His grasp is far from rough, but it is uninvited. Joan grows weary, even worried, curiously turned on as she looks away. She tries to quickly release herself from Jonathan's grasp, but his movements are too quick. I see you've not learned your lesson, Johnny, Joan says as a new anger issues forth. Unhand me or I'll beat that face to a pulp again, she orders as she tries to wrestle from his grasp. You can try, Joan. I know all of your moves now. Give it your best shot, Jonathan says in the most eerie monotone voice. By the gods, Joan, let me go. Almost screamed. Let me go, Joan demands, squirming, ready to slap the life out of this man. Suddenly, she feels the floor under her feet as Jonathan gently sets her free. He had actually lifted her from the floor. Joan backs away, regaining her composure, turning away from him and his planned assault. You son of a bitch! You left me out in the cold. You gave all that I had. Now you show up asking for more. I think fucking not. Joan yells, her eyes filled with tears and leftover rage. She walks down the hall of her flat toward her study. Joan is finally ready to erase the man from her life. Each step was a moment he will not have, and he doesn't deserve. She's about to call the authorities. All of a sudden, Joan turns as a rage takes hold. Halfway down her family picture-laden hallway. And you know Helen Kual. Yeah, good old Helen. My ex-best friend, yeah. She told me about how you like to screw her in the back of her stretched limo teleport. Joan says as she struggles back tears of rage, but they fall against her resolve. I guess abundant life points really do turn men on. You're a fucking gold digger. I'm not rich, so what do you want here? Go back to your rich whore. Joan hisses, walking forward. Suddenly Jonathan is himself again, now angry. He's worked hard for his vast fortune. He's one of the richest men in the galaxy. He was on Forbes' 3013 list as the youngest supernumerary. This means several lifetimes of endless life points. Joan DeVille, I'm one of the richest men in the galaxy, and your friend, if you can call her that, is a bald-faced liar, he says with a sarcastic sneer. Have you taken a look at that woman? When I get too close, I shudder. Give me some credits, he says with a slight smile. Joan's arms are folded down the hallway. He knows she's still in her defensive mode. Joan, I love you. I know that now. Is the only reply that Jonathan can give against all the pain that he has caused. Suddenly, as if his body was not of his own, Jonathan feels his knees start to bend. He's kneeling, but not really controlling his body to do so. What the hell? Jonathan thinks inside his head. He tries his best to control his body, but it's no use. He looks up and around in surprise at his new position. He just goes with it. Joan, I'm on my knees, please. She looks back, suddenly reminded of the heartbreak that she lived with the day in and day out. A sickening numbness that was so close to her soul, she thought she was going to die. And you had me on mine, she says quietly with a defiance that comes from living with such an event. Jonathan, hun, what are you doing here? She says calmly. Why have you come back? It's been over a year. You have nothing else here, not even my love, Joan says with a finality that cuts Jonathan to the bone, shattering the hopes that has lived in him for just a few hours. You need to leave, she says, pointing to the front door. Now get out or I will call the authorities. Shh. I just let you beat me up. If not for your advanced technologies, I'd be in the hospital followed by a dentist. Look, I said I'm sorry, Joan. What can I do to express that any more than I have? Jonathan looks wounded, as if Joan's words have pierced his soul, creating a pain in a place that she will never understand, and a place he's surprised that's even there. The handsome strapping man stands up, his legs apart, fully confident. I came because I miss you. I couldn't get you off my mind all day. Each breath I'd taken in today was reminded of how special you are to me, how wrong I was to leave you, Jonathan says, wondering why these words are leaving his lips. He looks across Joan's apartment into the eyes of the woman he cares for deeply. She is a world away, yet so close. Jonathan looks to see signs of kindness, maybe a sign that she'll relent. There is no softness, no sign of the old Joan that he once knew. No signals of the woman that loved him once before. Jonathan now questions his actions, slightly inside himself once again. Why am I here? He has not thought of this woman in over a year. When memories did pop up, they were pleasant, but none that reminded him of her love, just of her kindness. Jonathan's mind is brought back to her sisterhood and her brilliance as a spiritual scholar, which has always inspired him. Love is not in Joan's eyes anymore, nor did he want it to be. It is final then, Jonathan thinks to himself as he walks to the door. Suddenly, quickly, his brain is flushed with endorphins as his skin blushes with heat. Jonathan closes his eyes, not hearing Joan's barrage of questions. He instead feels the undeniable ecstasy of growing in his body, an energy that is not of his own. The man feels something grow inside of him, something warm and loving, but very forceful. Subtle like a spring rain, full of joy like sunshine, but burning like fire through his very soul. The essence was fulfilling, moving him to passions unknown. Jonathan's eyes were open once again, viewing the woman in front of him in a way that was not the same seconds ago. In his mind, Joan is his woman. Her accusations and questions, none of it seems to matter. Jonathan somehow can see beyond her protest and know that Joan now loves him and that she would love him for the rest of her life. It's almost as if she has to.
Woman, I adore you more than you know, and there's nothing you can say that would change that. Jonathan says, waving his hands with authority and a power that is not his own. Joan is suddenly silent, though she still has much to say. Suddenly, a wave of calm and respect comes over her from a place inside of her that is new and foreign. The esoteric assistant feels her fist unclench and her jaw muscles relax as all tension leaves from her body through her feet. Joan looks at Jonathan as he betrays a power and an authoritative flair that she's never seen before. Do you love me, Joan? Jonathan asks, his deep voice demanding an answer. Joan's heart is still. Her breathing seems to stop as tears gather in her eyes once again, ready to fall. All the love she's had inside of her for this man is quite evident. Yes, yes, I do, Joan says, as if a levee of pent-up frustration and angst has started to crack, and soon it would overflow. The moment the words leave Joan's lips, tears fall down her cheeks with perfect synchronicity. Jonathan rushes forward to Joan so fast he wonders even if his feet touch the carpeted floor. Wrapping his powerful arms around his woman's waist, pulling her into his soul. Jonathan's lips are hunters needing a feast they have been starving for so long, and Joan's lips are the perfect prey for his need. Their lips connecting, sparks seem to fly within them. Sweet fires of passion start to roar all over their senses, each enveloped within the slow burn of each other. Jonathan devours what he desires, what he needs, and what he loves, making Joan weak in his arms. She is also fulfilled with a need she has never known before, an indescribable sense of care and a rapturous sensuality flowing from her head to her feet. All is good tonight, and will be forevermore.